evening to all of our listeners and viewers here on INCRadio Micronesia. My name is Sister Randy Reyes from the local congregation of Machanao, and today I will be your host for this evening. And we also have some of our other crew members joining us who will introduce themselves later. So, for our title of our topic this evening, it is called What We See at the Horizon. And in this discussion, we will talk about activities that will be set for the next quarter of the year as we reach the second half of the year, and we will learn how we can prepare for all of these upcoming activities. Now, as we move into our discussion, I wanted to first introduce our guest joining us tonight. So, brother, if you can introduce yourself.
Hello po. Hello everyone. My name is Brother Lawrence De Leon. I'm a Kadiwa and I'm from the locale of Manila.
Yes, thank you, Brother Lawrence, for joining us tonight. So, as we talk about what we see at the horizon and preparing for activities, I just wanted to ask you, what are the strategies or the initiatives you take when you prepare for an activity?
That's a good question. I think really depends on the activity itself. Like, for example, when Manila had our 10th anniversary, it was like a really big activity. So different roles had to be assigned. This person was in charge of doing this. I was in charge of doing this. This person was in charge of leading this performance. So um, basically, it's like a checklist, I would say, for those major activities. But for like the little ones or like the simple ones, it's more of like, okay, just bring this, be here at this time so we can prepare, and then yeah, that's basically it.
Oh, I understand. Just before we continue with this discussion, I just wanted to say a happy belated 10th anniversary to the local congregation of Manila. Um, I know they prepared so much for this activity, and just like what you said, different officers had different things that they were in charge of. So, like planning, right, and scheduling with when it comes to activities, and of course, there's the means of the communication, right? So you have to schedule meetings or briefings just to make sure everyone is on the same page, and of course, to make sure everything is set in place and ready to go, right? For just to ensure that the activity will also go smoothly, and of course, with all the preparation, right? Of course, you also have to do like a run through of how the activity will be so that you can see how it looks. And, of course, if there's any changes that need to be made, especially for things like events, like what you mentioned for your local's anniversary, or even just things like presentations for school, right? We also need to prepare for those kinds of things so that, if ever there's things that need to be changed or things that we can add or remove. But of course, like with that, you also have to encourage, even if there's different officers who are assigned to lead these different things, you have to encourage each other. You have to really have that teamwork and clear communication throughout the preparation phase, especially, right? And as we continue to talk about all of these initiatives you take and the preparation, what are some ideas from last quarter or past activities that you can use to improve in upcoming activities?
Um, I would say basically like assigning we're not taking in too much of the load of the responsibility onto these activities. In some of these activities, I am the um, like for CWS, for example, like I'm the chairperson. Of course, most of the load would be onto me, but then that doesn't also mean to put all of the load onto me. So that's why it's very good to disperse the responsibility, the load onto the other officers, and that's what they're there for. So an activity wouldn't really be good if it's all just one person doing everything. The activity will be so much better if there's multiple minds, there's multiple ideas onto it. So it's not my the product isn't just my activity. It's like the product of all the other officers, all of our hard work, all of our minds put onto it, which in my idea, in my thing, it makes a that's what makes a good activity. But also, of course, prayer. At the end of the day, it's all up to God. He's the one who helps us and gives us the strength, the knowledge, and wisdom all into our activities and our preparations.
Thank you for sharing that, Brother Lawrence. And I agree that, you don't want to put all of the load on yourself. Like that's why there's other officers there to help us. And it's also like by the end of the activity, right? When you have the post meetings after activities, you also want to hear the ideas of everyone. Like for example, what worked well, what was something that worked well in the activity that we can use or do again next time, right? It's the feedback of everyone, and it's also like when you hear all of this, you can have different perspectives of everyone, because you can think one thing, but someone may think another, maybe even the same, but in a different way or different understanding. And then in that case, we can take everyone's idea and bring it into one activity, right, or another, or other future activities, right? At the R, I think it's so important that when you work with a team, everyone's ideas and thoughts are heard, and we you don't have to use all of those activities in the next activity, but it can be spread out into different activities, right, out there.
I really agree, Sister Randy, because like what Brother Lawrence said, he said so many pointers about it, like not taking too much responsibility, sharing the load, which is great because the more brethren who are involved, the more fun it's gonna be, right? That's how I see it. So and plus it will help you in your mentality, right? It doesn't make you burn out, like what Brother Lawrence said, but also just the fact that you have mentioned that when it comes to these activities, we also want to make it better, right? And I feel like even for, just say, for example, Brother Lawrence's local congregation just had their 10th anniversary, right? And that is such a great experience to see that everyone came together and it was so nice and beautiful. And, I believe when we're all like unified, right? Brother Lawrence, right? It turns out really well. And that venue that you guys have secured was an amazing event, or amazing place even to showcase how that look was. And I really had an enjoyable evening with Alliance, just to say that Manila did an awesome job with your 10th anniversary, and praises be all to God, and you all deserve it. And I also want to just also mention, like, with the previous activities, I think when we're trying to be better, I think we just need to be able to continue to invite those who are like needing to be to these activities, right? Like someone you haven't seen for a while, or maybe someone that you saw in a different locale, and or someone new, like for example, Sister Marisol, right? Sister Marisol is new to this district, and I would always try to tag her along with all the different activities. So things like that, just to make sure that everyone will get used to the upcoming activities and how we can improve to get more people involved, more brothers to be involved. And it's all about communication, just like what Sister Reddy said.
Yes, Ate, I agree. Is when you know, like you said, seeing those who you haven't seen for a while, or maybe it's not so often that you see them. That's why we plan thoroughly activities, right? You want to make them something that they're excited for the next activity, or maybe they're gonna want to join in the planning of upcoming activities, right? There's like a quote that I heard from one of the brethren before. They always say, with anything, not just planning activities or anything like that, but they always say to aspire, inspire, and be inspired, right? So in order for other brethren or others to be inspired, you yourself have to be inspired as well, and you have to be that inspiration to them, so that in the future activities, maybe they have even more ideas that they want to add to activities that we have in the future and things like that. And it's like what at the R said, it's so much more fun when there's more people who are involved, right? Because you hear all of these different ideas, and then with all of these ideas, it can even create even more activities, right? And like activities, like not even just for the rest of the year, it can lead on to the next year and the year after that, that we can use and be inspired by. So as we know, continue, and we're at the last part of our discussion, I just to ask you, Brother Lawrence, what are goals you hope to achieve in activities that are being prepared?
So, like what Ate Arlene said, it's really just to bring new faces in, because um, there are some activities where it's just like the same people over and over again. And even in general, like it would get a little too boring, It's like, oh, I expect you to be there. But then once in a while, there are new faces who come, and it's like, wow, like I've never seen you before. I didn't even know like you were like here. And it's really cool to see new faces, and I really believe that's an opportunity um for God to allow a new officer to be born. So first, it starts off with the relationship. You become friends. You're like, oh hi, and stuff like that. And then later on, like that's when the inspiration comes in, where you say, oh hey, like would you be interested in being a CWS officer or Kadeo officer, and all of these things. And that's why with every activity, me personally, with every activity that I'm involved in, I try to make sure that everybody's involved. It's not just like, oh, one person is like doing this. It's like everybody's involved, everyone's interactive, and it's not just like people sticking to the old people. It's like everybody's talking to one another.
Yes, because sometimes you know there's people who want to join, but maybe they're shy to say something, or they're shy to approach. So of course, you as the officer and the leader, you have to approach them. It's like if you approach them, and then you're like, oh, would you like to join us in this activity, or join us in doing this, or join this, or be an officer for this organization? You never know what they could say. They might say yes. It's just they're just shy to say something. So of course we have to be the first one to approach them. We have to strengthen those dynamics in us as officers and as leaders, and of course with other officers that we've worked with. I think with other activities that we work with others, it also strengthens the team dynamic, right? You build that trust, and you enhance those communication skills amongst each other, so that in future activities, also each other's strengths and weaknesses. What is this person good at doing? And then maybe you're not that great in something, but someone else is, so they can do that, and then you can do maybe they're weak in something, right out there. So I think it's so important to build that confidence in yourself, so that it can also be built in others.
You're right, Sister Randy, because when it comes to building up yourself, right, and that's also the goal of us personally, but also for the church administration, especially the young ones, right? And just recently in our worship service, we have learned that, we need to continue to be so active in the works of the Lord, right? And these are activities that exactly is for that. Like, we want to be busy doing all the church activities because one, it enhances our faith, but also another, it enhances all the skills that we can learn. And when you talk about Brother Lawrence talk about new faces, right? I can really see that even with the growing number of officers, the young ones that I've seen, like just like when they were Binhi, which is the young baptized members here at the Church of Christ, I've seen them grow, and finally I see them like have offices, which is good because I can see so much potential. And when Brother Lawrence said it really starts with that relationship, and I agree. And we need to have that brotherly love relationship with each other because you just never know what someone can bring to the table, just like what Sister Ravi said. And you just be surprised that someone can actually make maybe an activity like maybe 3 or 4 times, 5 times bigger than you would have expected in a much more effective and easier way. And we were learning this, especially when we have so many new brethren coming into the district and also helping us, as officers. And we gotta have those personal goals as officers, but also personal goals as our individual selves, because it will help us in the long run.
Yes, there's so many things that that can help us grow and prepare for these kinds of activities. Like now as we're having this discussion, I realize that preparing for activities is like, it's not just, oh, you write something and then it's like, oh, I have this idea, we should do it. There's so much more to it, and there's even so much more than just having meetings and plannings. You really have to have that personal growth and confidence in yourself, right? And of course, you need to be inspired mentally, emotionally, and of course, spiritually, in order for others to be inspired. And I just wanted to share something that our resident minister, Brother Manel Dinogan, shared with us when we were having our officers meeting, or CWS meeting, just last week. He said, in order for you want to be approachable, right? And in order for you to be approachable, of course, you have to talk to others, so that they can be confident, and they start talking to you first, and then they'll talk to others. But the thing to start, right, in order to be approachable, is just start with a smile. Always smile, so that when they see that you're smiling and you're happy, it will also, they'll feel that happiness as well. So, that really stuck with me, because especially as a CWS teacher, and Brother Lawrence as well as a CWS officer, and the rest of our crew here, we want the kids to be inspired as well. As young as they are, we want them to be inspired. And also, they like to do activities as well. So they might have I'm sure they have so many ideas that they want to share with us as well. So of course you have to be approachable and just always smile, or just start your day with a smile, end it with a smile. And, when you talk to the kids and anyone else, you're just always smiling, so that, they're just witnessing your, when you do that, it's like they're witnessing your strength, and as well as your kindness. And that's what inspires them and pushes them, to also be like their older brothers and sisters and their fellow officers, right? So I think, with all of these things, it's what builds the character amongst ourselves and other officers, and as well as the rest of the brethren. And this is what can help us improve as we prepare for upcoming activities, especially as we're reaching the second half of the year. There's so many things that we have to prepare for, and we also never know, like, what are the activities that will come, and also the outcome of everything. But of course, we also always give all of the credit to none other than our Almighty God. He is the reason why we are all here as officers today, and also here on INCRadio. So, if we just want to continue to be inspired by each other, and also inspire others. So, thank you so much, Brother Lawrence, for joining us here in our discussion. And we hope, and we will also learn from everything that you have also taught us. Right at the, I think you are muted.
I do apologize. Yes, and thank you so much, Brother Lawrence, for being here as our guest this evening. Now we want to go ahead and see who's on the YouTube chat, because we also want to greet so many brethren who are commenting as well. So, can you go ahead and play our YouTube chat plug bumper?
Hey, Team Live Chat! Thank you for supporting us. We love hearing about your experiences here on INCRadio. Let us also know where you are joining us from.
Are you familiar with our hashtag challenge? If not, you can also participate by mentioning your local congregation, as well as which Christian family organization you belong to.
Near the end of our broadcast, we will announce the hashtag challenge winners. So please continue engaging with us in the comments below. We hope you have a nice day and enjoy our show.
I so love that bumper. Thank you again for playing that. We want to go ahead and shout out to, first of all, Sister Jade Pasia. She's one of our YouTube commenters there, and she's saying, good evening for INCRadio Micronesia. Excited for tonight's broadcast. Hashtagging us, Paitan Binky and CWS. We also want to mention Sister Irene Reyes, which is Sister Raddy Reyes' mother. She's also saying good evening as well. We also have outside the district, Alex Ariola. Greetings, brethren from the District of Orange County, California. So early in the morning, but thank you so much for being here in our broadcast or listening to our broadcast. We want to also mention Camanello Denoga. He is viewing and hashtagging his local congregation, hashtag Machinao. And we want to mention also other brethren from Machinao, Sister Lizelle, Brother Richard, and again, Sister Irene Reyes that is also commenting there. We also want to mention Brother Roger Villegas Jr., our DMA. He says good evening to our district minister, Brother Joven Sapilio Jr., and family po. Good evening to our assistant district minister, Brother Julius Malabanan, and family po. Hashtagging Cobblerville. We also do have a greeting here from our district minister. He has mentioned, good evening, brethren. Happy viewing and listening to those who have tuned into INCRadio Micronesia. Brother David Jr. Sapilio. Thank you so much for commenting with us, Joven, and also Sister Irene Villegas Jr. also saying good evening to everyone there in the chat. Brother Jerry from Cobblerville as well. Thank you so much for being here. And Sister Britt Ashley Maravana, she's right there as well watching from Saipan. So thank you so much for all your amazing comments. We have a lot of comments here, even mentioning what is their favorite, your favorite CFO activity. I'm going to just mention one person, and I'm going to mention Sister Jade Pasia because she said Unity Games. It's always fun to play sports and watch our brethren unite and compete in a joyful way. I know that she's also saying that because Unity Games have started there in the island of Saipan. So super excited. Want to see all those pictures pretty soon. And hopefully we can see, show those the next broadcast. Sister Ratty? Oh, and we want to go ahead and go forward what's going on in our CFO in action. We want to mention upcoming is our first aid seminar. The local congregation is going to be having that in Machinao, and that will be actually tomorrow at 10 a.m. So those who want to learn first aid skills, you definitely want to be tuned into that one and also be there physically because it's going to be there in the local congregation of Machinao. And we want to mention also what is our next week's broadcast, Sister Randy.
Thank you so much, Ate R, and thank you to all of those who are supporting us in our YouTube live chat. And before we continue with the rest of our broadcast, I just wanted to ask Brother Lawrence, did you have any shout outs that you wanted to give this evening?
Shout out to my family, my friends, Cal Mangilaw. Shout out to some really, really close friends and family in Japan who's vacation there at Japan at the moment.
Oh, yes, right. Anyone in particular, Brother Lawrence?
What was that there?
Anyone in particular you want to say her name?
I don't think I should say Sister Joy's name. I don't think I should say her name. But yes. Yeah, I definitely won't say her name. Anyways, but yeah, I think that's all I have for now. And thank you everybody who tuned in and watched INCRadio.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Brother Lawrence. How about you, Sister Randy? Do you have any shout outs before I make my shout out?
Yes, I just wanted to give a shout out as well to my family, my parents who are here with me, and also to my brother who is currently in Korea. And
Oh,
also,
yeah, that's right.
I just wanted to also give a shout out to the local congregation of Machanao as well as to our resident minister, Ka Menel Dinogan. He was my inspiration of our discussion tonight. So also to all of our brethren and offices there in the local congregation of Machanao, and as well to all of our INC radio crew members.
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. Because we definitely miss you, Sister Randy, here in our broadcast. You've been traveling lately, and you've been really busy. So I'm glad that you're here broadcasting with us. So thank you so much. I want to make a special shout out to our District Multimedia Director, and that is Brother Michael De Jesus. He's also our director here at INC Radio Micronesia. He's celebrating his birthday this evening, or actually today. So happy birthday, Brother Michael! Yay. And and of course, we want to end our show saying our greetings and thank you to our beloved Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, and to our ChST President, CEO, and CFO Coordinator, Brother Angelo Arano Manalo. We hope you are both doing well and also your families. And we want to make sure, we would like to greet you also a good evening. And also to our district minister, Brother Jovis Sapilio Jr., thank you so much for your support here in INC Radio, as well to our assistant district minister, Brother Julius Marabana. It's great to see him last night. And also hope to see you tomorrow. Next is our CFO overseer, which is Brother Rogers Manzanilla Jr., and to our district multimedia advisor, Brother Roger Villegas Jr. Hope you are doing well.
We would also like to thank our crew members there on the island of Saipan, Sisters Bam, Gwen, and Jillian, and brothers R.Y., Matt, Judah, and Joff. And also here in the island of Guam, Ates Arlene, Ann, Marisol, and Faye, and brothers Randy, Michael, and Sean, and also to our station manager, Brother Wally Taray, and executive producer, Brother Emmanuel and Daya. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in and supported us tonight, as well as to Brother Lawrence for joining us in our discussion this evening. And I just want to say good night, Micronesia, and we hope to see you all again next week. Bye-bye po.
Nice. Thank you, Brother Lawrence. Thank you,
Thank you for having
Happy
me.
birthday, Brother Michael.
Happy birthday, Brother
Happy birthday,
Michael.
Kuya Michael.
Thank you for tuning in.